I'm a 20-year-old female. I'm German and Persian. I grew up in a very religious home. However, I don't consider myself religious and I consider myself agnostic. I'm very spiritual, I think, as I believe everything happens for a reason. I'm a very opinionated person with very strong opinions. However, I believe everyone has a right to their own opinions, and I'm always open to listen to what other people's beliefs are and what they have to say. I've been a Canadian citizen since birth, and I've moved around a lot. I live with my mother and my little sister, but I also have an older brother. During the pandemic, I've been living in London, Ontario with my 4 roommates. I'm a first-year student at University of Ottawa. However, this is my second year at university, and I'm in the communications program. My media habits vary depending on my mood, honestly. If I'm in a good routine and I'm busy, I'm not going to be on my phone as much. But if I wake up and I'm not in the greatest mood, I'll lay in bed and stay on my phone a lot longer, which will greatly affect my mood. Especially the content that I'm looking at will affect my mood. I find when I'm on Instagram, it puts me in a more upset mood, and I feel sad about myself and more insecure since there's so many Instagram models and girls that I'm constantly seeing on my feed, which I feel like I need to be keeping up with and keeping up with the standard and looking a certain way. Also, just being around my roommates, hearing all their opinions does affect the way I think too, because I'm hearing such different people's opinions and beliefs that come from such different homes compared to mine, which affects me as well. So, my field site was my bedroom. Can you blame me though? I spent a lot of my time in my bedroom. I did a lot of my work at my desk with my laptop and my journal right beside me so I can brainstorm and make notes. So I took a lot of notes on my laptop. I also tracked my phone to see what apps I used the most during the day and how my mood was affected if I used my phone a lot during the day compared to if I wasn't using it at all. And that's how I conducted my research for my field reports. Out of all the apps on my phone, I do use TikTok the most because I will go on there and scroll for hours without realizing, because it's such a time waster and a distraction. I do use Snapchat a lot too, but that's my forms of communication when I'm talking with friends, and I use FaceTime a lot, so I'll spend hours probably on FaceTime with one person, so that takes up a lot of my usage on my phone. Another thing I did to collect data was listen to music, as it helps me focus and really reflect on how I'm feeling towards certain things without a distraction. After I finished writing all my field reports, I went over them and I coded them for my final coding charts. For my final coding charts, they were 2 pages long. I found that the top 3 words, when I went over and I looked at the patterns that I had within my charts, were social media, phone, and friends. I wasn't surprised at all when I saw that one of the top 3 words was friends, because I do bring up my friends quite a bit in every conversation I have. There's always a story I'm telling that has to do with one of my friends or something I did with my friends. So that did not take me by surprise. So my main findings from doing my research for my research project were that ultimately social media is really toxic, especially being a young girl, being on social media. Like, I feel like there's a standard that I always have to meet and I can't ever keep up and be good enough, which feels very overwhelming and frustrating, and it's hard sometimes, and it doesn't make me feel the greatest. It really affects my mental health. And I found that social media also makes me very unmotivated and lazy if I'm on it a lot, especially if I'm sitting in bed just scrolling through TikTok or messages. I'm not motivated to do the things that I had planned for the day, and it's harder for me to get out of bed. One positive that I did find throughout all this is I do use my phone a lot to connect with my friends and family, which is really important to me, especially since we're in lockdown and because of COVID, it hasn't been the same for the past year. Socializing and gatherings haven't been the same. I haven't seen a lot of my family members for probably since the beginning of this, so last March. Like, I haven't seen a lot of my family members. So being able to FaceTime them and check in on them and see how they're doing is really great, and it keeps me happy, and like it helps my mental health being able to connect to the people I love